The Circle of Knowledge podcast is brought to you by Amplified Minds, helping entrepreneurs and professionals achieve their goals and aspirations by sharing a wealth of knowledge to you, our community of achievers. This podcast features best-selling industry resources, interviews, and the professional panel discussion by the core team at Amplified Minds. Now, here are their discussions. Hey, welcome back to the Circle of Knowledge podcast. Again, this is your host, Jon Kovach Jr. with Amplified Minds, coming to you from Silicon Slopes. The Wasatch Back, Heber City is where we're at, and we're making a shout out to the world. Today's interview is going to be a really fun and interesting conversation that I get to have with someone who I've worked with before, and someone who has a really unique story, someone who's been learning a lot in the process of their professionalism and has a unique taste on what it takes to become successful. And in fact, we're not even going to be talking about success at all. We're going to be talking about significance. And I'm really happy and excited to introduce you guys to Dr. Hillary Taggart and our conversation. So listen up, and you're going to have a great take a few takeaways from this conversation.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me on your show.
Hey, Hillary. I'm glad to have you. And I mentioned in the introduction that we've worked together, and I want to just share with you some appreciation. Early in my career, I had the opportunity to work as an accountability coach and an accountability partner for a company that provides that. And we worked through a few coaches that you were associated with. And I had the pleasure of working with you one-on-one a little bit, setting goals and sending you the follow-up texts that we all dread every morning saying, hey, have you achieved the goals? And for you, it was a fun experience, but I appreciate that conversation. But anyways, I'd love to share just a little bit of information about you, but instead of having me do that, could you just tell our listeners who you are, where you're from, and a little bit of your upbringing?
Yeah, so I grew up in Alaska. I think I'll claim that till the day I die, even though I've lived in Utah probably as long as I did in Alaska. But that's kind of a fun little thing because Alaska, who's from Alaska, right? Not very many of us. But I was born and raised up there and then have been in Utah off and on for the past 15, 20 years or so. As you heard, that's Dr. Hillary Taggart. It's true. So I have a doctorate in nursing, actually. So undergraduate in nursing, and then went on, got a master's and a doctorate. Similar to a PhD, but it's actually called a DNP. So essentially, I'm a nurse practitioner and can do pretty much everything a physician can, just not surgery. So currently, I actually own my own little med spa in Salt Lake City, and I do cosmetic injections. I joke around and tell people I'm saving the world one wrinkle at a time.
Not that I should ask you on the air here, but can you fix double chins? No, just kidding.
I can, Kybella. It's actually awesome. You'd be actually pretty amazed at all the things that are out there to, I don't want to say fix, but improve, I should say, because fix implies that it's a problem. But yeah, there's actually a lot of things that we can do that are pretty cool. And the way that I found myself in the niche, I have to admit, I kind of have a little bit of an ethical issue to a certain degree of what I do, because sometimes by saying that we can make you look better, that almost denotes that you don't look good enough. And that I don't agree with, because I think we're all enough. But I've kind of gotten into a niche market for people that really want to do some small things here and there while maintaining the natural look. So you'll never see anybody walking out of my office having crazy duck lips or just looking crazy overdone. In fact, they'll probably be the person sitting next to you at work or on a bus or whatever, and you wouldn't even tell that they've had anything done.
Well, this is awesome. I love that you actually answered that with the positive reaction that I wanted to. Thank you. Yeah, guys, listening to this show, this is Dr. Hillary Taggart. This is not some DIY fix-it. This is for
No.
sure practice
Please
that
don't
helps a lot.
DIY your own Botox.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, this is incredible, and I'm glad to know this little bit about your backstory. But what drove you to go down this road? What caused you to say, "Hey, I want to be a nurse practitioner, get a PhD in it, and practice in helping people with, let's call them improvements or enhancements," because that is a fascinating topic, and you know, you've got to have a unique story that leads down this road.
Yeah, actually, I do, John. So the first part of it, why I went to get my doctorate, I had a father. I'm very blessed. He passed away about 16 years ago, but I was very blessed to have a father that taught me that I could be and do anything that I wanted to. He always told me education, even though growing up in a conservative household, he really pushed his daughters, including me, obviously, to get a good education, and just told me that I didn't know if I would go through death, divorce, disability, but I needed to be able to provide for my family, and not only from a financial standpoint, but also just a knowledge and educational standpoint. So he was probably my biggest cheerleader, first of all, to push me to get a good education. And then when he passed away, he actually had done a doctorate, but he never turned his thesis in. So he never really could call himself a PhD. So I decided to take it upon myself and kind of finish that in his honor. So went on and got a doctorate for him. And that was actually a really beautiful experience to be able to do that. And I'm grateful for a father that, more than just pushing education, taught me from an early age that I could be and do anything, and not give me limiting beliefs like some of us grow up in households that we do have those limiting beliefs. So I think that was the first part of it. The second part of it, I graduated from that doctorate program and found myself pregnant afterwards. And my husband and I were super excited. We went in to find out the gender of the baby. And as we went in to find out the gender, we, long story short, found out that our first child was going to be born with a birth defect that's called a giant omphaloceal. And when we found that out, they actually suggested terminating the pregnancy, because about 70% of these cases, they have other problems that go along with them that a lot of times babies don't survive. And what it is basically is the abdominal wall never fully closed. And so she was going to be born with her intestines on the outside of her body. So they prepared us, told us that she'd need 3 to 5 surgeries and she'd be in the hospital for 4 to 6 months. So although I graduated and I really had the intention of going into more integrated functional medicine, which is kind of my true passion from a health and wellness standpoint, I knew that I needed to kind of ramp that up, not knowing if I would have a disabled child or not. I would need to have flexible hours and a good income. And turns out cosmetic injections provides both of that. So I got into the industry because of my daughter. And side note, she's a complete miracle. She was born, had a surgery the day after she was born, and she went home 10 days later. Ended up having one more surgery 2 years later, but she's 4 years old now, completely healthy, normal. You would never know anything unless you saw her little scar on her belly. So that's what got me into cosmetic injections. And it's perfect because I now still work part-time, and I'm also a mom, and it's a perfect balance that I have for my kids and working life.
And you guys are located in Salt Lake City, you said?
Correct. Yep.
Awesome. And what's the name and title of the business, in case we ever have people passing through or people that are local that are looking for solutions?
Yeah, perfect. So the best thing probably would do to find me on Instagram, just look up Dr. Hillary T_NP. And that's the best way to get a hold of me or make an appointment booking through my Instagram link.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And that's a really cool background.
Yeah.
It's really neat that you had a family member, especially a father figure, who encouraged you to go down that route, despite the short bringings that they ended up incurring for their life and their struggle. And I'm sure it still, I'm sure it still bugs him or kind of affects him today, knowing he didn't quite finish. But it's really cool that he was encouraging to others to achieve that. And I can relate to, from my father, who had just barely had an associate's degree, got his bachelor's, but then encouraged us kids to do more. And I have a sister who moved on to, getting not a nursing degree, but become a PA, one that's got a master's in public health. And then there's the me who was supposed to go to law school, but chose public relations and then became a speaker entrepreneur. And then there was my brother who's like football, played college football. And we were always encouraged by him to continue to pursue our educations despite our additional talents. And I loved that atmosphere. And so I relate that with you. That there was a space in your life where you thought, maybe I'm going to get into the public speaking coaching world. But let's talk a little bit about that and where that leads down the road to us talking about a principle that you wanted to share with the group, which is, living a life of significance versus a life of success. Let's talk a little bit about that journey and get into the thick of the weeds of that discussion.
Yeah, that's a great topic. So it's been about a year ago this time, I kind of started thinking that I would want to do some public speaking. And I guess it comes on the heels of, I put a 10-year kind of bucket list, if you will, about 10 years or so ago, 8 or 9 years. And the only thing, I'm fortunate enough, the only thing that I hadn't finished on there or checked off was public speaking. I've always been intrigued by public speaking and thought it'd be fun. Enjoy myself. When I was younger, I always wanted to be the center of attention and kind of the party clown or whatever. And I thought it'd be really fun to be able to get kind of a crowd going or educate them or empower them, uplift, inspire. And so I started looking into public speaking. And as I started looking into it, I'm gonna be cautious the way that I say things so that I don't offend anybody that's in the speaking world. But I found, to put it lightly, that there were a couple things that turned me off from it, and so I've kind of recoiled a little bit from it. When I think of public speaking, I think about, kind of like we were talking about with our dads, right? It's not go get education per se. Even if somebody doesn't have education, it's the idea, the concept of be your best self. Do whatever you can to improve upon your best self. If that's get as much education as possible or is best for you. If that's, my dad's favorite quote was, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Genius has magic power, or boldness has genius power or magic in it. And I think there's something to it of doing, not being limited, right? Not being scared and stuck in your 9 to 5 or in your whatever mindset you're in. And so I like that about speaking. When I kind of went into the field, there were a lot of things that I felt like it was very much focused on money and success. And a lot of it was talked about, and maybe it was, very much the people that I associated with or different conferences or things that I went to. But I found that it was a little bit of a dog and a pony show, kind of like, look how cool I am, I did this much this weekend and you can too. And I didn't feel it was very authentic space with some people I met. Some people, there were some great people. And obviously that's going to be in any industry, right, to a certain degree. But it really stirred in me this concept of what really is the purpose of life? Like, what are we focusing on? So if we're speaking and doing all this, what's the purpose of speaking or being a nurse practitioner or an attorney or whatever? And it, for lack of better way to say it, it's just for me, I found that I really wanted to focus on living a life of significance versus a life of success. And that seems really simple, really cliche, but it's like, when you hear things your whole life and you know it, but then you don't know it until you know it, right? And that's what I feel like the past year journey has been for me, is recognizing that I always wanted to live a life of significance. And although I'm a very ambitious, competitive person, chasing a life of success was never going to bring me happiness, whereas focusing on a life of significance has brought me greater happiness. Not much has changed. And I still set my goals for my personal business. I still have very much financial goals. I'm a very financially oriented person. So that doesn't mean that I don't care about my money or I'm not wanting to try and make more. It just means that when I do make decisions of, okay, I want to expand or grow my business or whatever, I always think in my mind, the things that I'm sacrificing in order to get the return or get increased money, is it worth what I'm sacrificing? And if it's not, if it's going to damage my life of success or significance and take away from my significance, my joy, my family, my relationship with my spouse, then it's not worth it. I mean, we've both seen people who go through so many things chasing success, and what do they lose? They lose their integrity, they lose their spouse, they lose their health, all for chasing success, and it's not worth it.
That's an incredible principle, and I love that, because we do talk a lot about success on this show and how to obtain it, and there's tactics behind it. You know, I even have a speech that I personally give called The Irrefutable Laws of High Performance and How to Achieve Success Through Accountability. And I love that you've offered this alternative perspective on it and that you've lived a life by it, because let's talk about the entrepreneurial journey for a minute for those of our listeners who are entrepreneurs. And if you're not, it's okay. This is relatable anyways. But the entrepreneurial journey is if you chase money, you may or may not find success along the way, but what good did it do at the end? Whereas if you chase an outcome, a solution, a resolution to a problem, or just a passion behind something that you want to provide as a result for an outcome, you find much more than success. You find much more results, and there's a value add there that is much more, in your terms, significant than the actual definition of what success might be. A friend of ours that we've had on the show before, and someone who you probably know, Hillary, is James Stevenson. He's a coach and a speaker as well, but James is, and I had a conversation about the definition of wealth, and the immediate thing people think of when they hear the word wealth is money, finances, financial freedom. But the way that he would define wealth is focusing on, you know, a more balanced life where there are finances involved in that, but it also includes health, awareness, intellect, and so forth. But I love that you've added this completely new structure to that by saying, you know, living a life of significance is far more valuable than a life of success due to the outcome-based results of that journey, rather than focusing on success itself. And I think that's a really cool perspective that you've added.
Thanks. I just think that it's, I mean, like the old cliche adage goes, the grass is never greener on the other side. And again, we all know that, but we don't know it. Sometimes we know it, we don't put it into practice. And I think sometimes with think we want to be more successful, and with Instagram and social media, it's made it more apparent that people can show off and highlight the successes in their life, whether that's relationship and obviously success. Yes, a lot of times we look at it as financial because that's easy to measure, right? It's easy to say, oh, that person's making 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever cool number you want to put on there, which is all relative as well. I joke around about this all the time that, you know, I have a friend that looks at me and thinks my husband and I are successful, and we look at a relative of mine and I think, wow, they're successful, and they look at their friends who have a Learjet and think they're successful. You know what I mean? So it's completely subjective. And here's the bottom line, John. This is the most important takeaway, as I imagine most of your listeners are in the U.S. We are so successful. And if we look at how blessed we are with a roof, I mean, most of us have a roof over our head. We have a job that we don't ever wonder where we have to eat next. In fact, we spend millions a year on diet pills in gyms because we eat too much. And so as far as wealth goes, we are very wealthy. We are very blessed from that successful standpoint. But going back to what I was saying about the grass is always greener, it's easy to think the grass is always greener, but of course it's not. And we don't know what's going on. And those little snippets from social media that shows us how cool people's lives are, whatever, it's for many people a facade. We don't see the hardship. We don't see, or, I mean, like the last recession, remember how we thought everybody was so cool and had all their money, and then what happened? They lost their house because they were leveraged to their, you know, whatever. So I just think that focusing choosing to focus living a life of significance is going to bring you greater joy, because ultimately in life, what are we truly seeking? Pleasure. Pleasure, I would say, pleasure, happiness, I would say, are a little bit more finite, right? Moments. And the happiness and pleasure are good, but what I would say, what I try and seek personally in my life is joy, because joy is lasting. I look back on moments of pleasure or happiness that I've had in my life, and those might be fun, but they're normally fleeting moments, whereas I look back on pure joy moments that I've had, and those are the good memories. And so if I try and live a life worth having joy in, then that means living a life of significance, not a life of success. And again, the success will follow, because like you said, anytime you are looking to have a resolution or solve a problem with your entrepreneurial business, or even if in your 9-to-5 job, if you're a customer service agent and your job is to help resolve problems, then you can find joy in that, because you can help people. And what greater joy is there in life than helping people? So I've just found a lot more peace, and that's the other thing that goes along with it. I found a lot more joy and peace in my life as I've chosen to have a mind shift of living a life of significance. Still focus on success, still meet my financial goals, all that stuff. But when I make decisions, I live a life of success. And the best thing about it is when I focus on living a life of success, I'm no longer looking at people as numbers. I'm no longer looking at them as a way to meet my goals. I am looking at them for people to serve, the way that I can serve them. And then as I serve them, it actually brings you more success.
I just want my listeners to kind of understand this and kind of feel the power behind what you just said, and how powerful it is, Hillary, to hear somebody who's built a life and a business of a practice and helping people with, cosmetic fixes, whether that be aesthetics or for particular health reasons, to share the principle behind the appearance of success and the actual achievement of success through significance. And that just sings dividends about you, your character, your professionalism, your desires, and the intentions that you have as a doctor and as someone who's out there creating joy for yourself and creating joy in the lives of others. To hear that from somebody who has built a practice based on something that could be considered, just cosmetic, but for other people, it does bring joy, and it does influence a lot more than just what it sounds like. And I think that was an extremely powerful principle, and I really wanted to highlight that or illustrate it, or let's call it reiterating, because this was a very bright conversation, and I think that the listeners probably picked up on that from the beginning. But it's coming from me, who needs to hear everything 3 times before it sticks. So I wanted to paint that out for them to hear that, because that is a powerful testimonial to come from you, Hillary, and I appreciate you saying that. What's one thing you wish you would have known when you first got started?
Not to trust employers.
Oh
no, okay, that I shouldn't say that. I say that tongue in cheek. I'm a shark. I'm an ambitious person. I don't do well with being taken advantage of, or being I don't want to say lied to, but not having the truth. And I am saddened by how many employers there are and this is the difference. I think that we, in businesses, if we're focusing on living a life of a successful life, we can easily lose focus on how our decisions affect others. I mean, if you're an employer and employing people, somebody's work is, it's, 25-30% of their life. So you have a great ability to influence people. So if you're an employer listening to this, you got to almost take it as like a sacred responsibility, in my opinion. And I've seen employers who have, as they focused on success, they have shortcut themselves and their integrity so that they can have more success, as opposed to, in my opinion, use that as an opportunity to truly bless people's lives. Which is one of the reasons why I have decided to be out on my own and never work for anybody else again, which is fine, and everybody has their own motives and need to meet their own needs. But I just think it's an awesome opportunity as an entrepreneur, and I don't care if it's an assistant. I mean, my nanny, I've been able to do some really great things with my nanny, and you want to know what? She's stuck with me because I've treated her well. I mean, and she goes out of her way to try and help out, because her and I have a good relationship, and I just believe that when you give, you get. But you have to focus on giving to give, not giving to get. So I think that would be the biggest thing, is be cautious of employers, because ultimately they're there to meet their needs, which is why being an entrepreneur is so awesome, because you get to set the rules. And that doesn't mean that you need to blow it up and make XYZ amount a year, you know? I mean, I look at my nanny, who has gotten into interior design on the side, and that's what she wants to do. And so I've helped her form her LLC and get her business, and she's starting to branch out on that. And yeah, maybe she'll only make, a little bit this year, but it all starts with the little baby steps. So believe in yourself. Don't let somebody take advantage of you. That's what I think that I wish I would have known earlier. And that doesn't mean that working for somebody isn't beneficial. I've learned a lot by working for other people. Just know ultimately they probably don't have your best interest at heart. So you need to watch out for you. Don't give up your health, your sanity to grow somebody else's business.
Thank you for sharing that. That was a very, very powerful statement. I think our audience really needed to hear that. I'm grateful for that testimonial, because I've run into a lot of people who have false understandings of what prosperity looks like, and they think that being a millionaire means they've made it. But there are miserable millionaires out there. Mm-hmm. There are people that you need to know that actually fulfill a life of significance and joy, because of the way they live their life, despite the income or the amount they make. And that's a powerful thing to hear from you. So I appreciate you sharing that. Hillary, as we kind of wrap this discussion up, what's a challenge that you would like to issue to our listeners? I know that we talked a little bit about the principle of living a life of significance versus a life of success, to change that paradigm in their brains. And then you talked about being aware of employers, and how that's an important piece of the journey, to be aware of your surroundings and know who you're working with. But what's one challenge you'd like to issue to our listeners that they can apply today, something that they can do quite simple in its act, to help them move the needle forward, move the ball forward in their lives, or even just take a significant stance against something that would provide value and joy to their life?
So I think the biggest thing that's helped me understand living a life of significance, as I have made that intellectual shift, and again, it doesn't necessarily mean it changes all your actions. It just changes your reasons behind it, and it makes your actions more clear. There's 3 principles that I've spoken about, and I want to challenge the listeners to think about these 3 principles, to really reflect on them. So the first one is why. Really think about your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's your purpose behind that? What's your purpose in life? What do you want to do? The second one is your worth. This one is so important. You have to know your worth. And I think we can think that we know our worth, but I don't think most of us do. I think we have a fraction. And it's not this superficial ego, but this humble, in my mind, what I say to my people is, you are a divinely destined deity. And I think that's really important, that we remember that we have great abilities within us. You have to know your worth. No matter if you're not where you want to be in life, know your worth. And then the last thing is serve. I really, truly believe that as we focus on whatever job we are doing, job, entrepreneur, speaker, coach, is to serve. And if we can remember to serve people, just genuinely serve. And it doesn't matter if you're walking out of Home Depot and somebody drops something, pick it up. It doesn't matter if you're in, I don't know, just serve. Look for opportunities to serve people, to be kind, to reach out in your business and other ways. And if you don't get their business and they go somewhere else, oh well, at least you served them. It'll make you a better person. It'll build your brand better. I mean, it'll give you so much back in return. But most importantly, is it's going to make you feel better about who you are. So that would be my greatest challenge to people, is to know their why, to truly seek to understand their worth. It's something that they need to meditate on, pray about. And then the last one is serve. Look for opportunities to serve.
So if you're listening to this podcast today, we hope that you'll take the action items Dr. Hillary Taggart has invited us to do, which is to know your why, thoroughly know your why, to understand your worth, and then also to serve and focus on that as part of the process. I appreciate this conversation, Hillary, and thank you for wanting to share this with our listeners, to be on our show. And thanks for being within our circle. You are really an inspiration to us, and the perspective that you add is just truly powerful. For those of our listeners who particularly might want to reach out to you or learn more from you, or just to get in contact, how can they best reach you on a personal level? And then how else can we send them your way towards your business, in case they're looking towards some of the services that you guys probably offer?
Yeah, so you can email me, Taggart Hillary, so TAGGARTHILLARY @gmail.com. My website's drhillaryt.com, or Instagram, drhillaryt_NP are the different ways that you can get a hold of me.
Amazing. And we invite all of our listeners to do that, to reach out to her. If you guys have any questions for her, send them that way. You can also post your questions in our show, in our notes, or in any one of the locations to which you engage with us on our podcast, and we're grateful. Hillary, thank you for your time, and I appreciate your professionalism, your powerful words, and also your friendship. It means a lot. I've been able to work with you a little bit, but haven't even dived deep enough to know an inkling of the information, the power behind you, and the message that you're taking to the world, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Jon.
Hey, this is Jon with Amplified Minds. Thanks again for listening to the show. We really hope you enjoyed the Circle of Knowledge podcast. If you like the Circle of Knowledge podcast, go ahead, subscribe, rate us, and if you give us a 5-star review, we promise to give you a personal shout out here on the air. Just watch us. You can also engage with us a little bit more through social media. On any channel, you can just find us at Amplified Minds. To learn more about Amplified Minds, go to our website at amplifiedminds.com. That's AMPLIFIEDMINDS.com. Through our website, you can join any one of our mastermind groups from anywhere in the world. In the mastermind groups, you and other members of the community of achievers can mastermind and talk about all of your aspirations, your dreams, your goals, and even the challenges you face. Whether you're a business owner or an entrepreneur or anything else, you can achieve your goals through a mastermind group. You should also check out the Amplified Minds Accountability Program, where you can gain access to a one-on-one personal accountability coach, somebody who will contact you weekly and motivate you, hold you accountable, follow up, and give you the proper resources that will help you to go out and achieve all your goals. Hey, shout out to all you coaches, speakers, mentors, the superheroes of the world. We have the perfect program for you and your audiences. We have the capabilities of setting your audience and communities up in private mastermind groups and assign them a one-on-one personal accountability coach where they can help your people achieve the things that they're working towards, tailored to your programs. For more information about this, go ahead and send me an email at Jon, that's JON, at amplifiedminds.com. I look forward to hearing from you.